The Springwardens can be a fun and very strong faction in Call of Dragons. I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know, so let's get started. Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Phoenix, and today we are looking at the Springwardens factions in Call of Dragon. The Springwardens are a fun group to play with. In my opinion, they aren't necessarily the strongest, but they are definitely a great faction for free-to-play players and players who want to have a little bit different type of fun in the game. The first thing to know about the Springwardens is their bonuses, their faction bonuses. So they have two faction bonuses that I think are actually really great, especially for free-to-play players. The first one is the 5% Legion March Speed. This can be great, especially if you love to use Cavalry. Cavalry get that extra 5%, can go a long way on the battlefield, and it really can play a big difference in the way that you play. The second one that is great for free-to-play, and actually everyone, is the heal speed increase of 5%. That can go a long way in those really big, long wars. We are actually currently in one, and I would love my 5% bonus. It would really help. And I think that it's great for a lot of players to get that 5%, get your troops out of the hospital, and keep moving. Now, in the grand scheme of things, the 5% isn't going to make or break the war for one player. But if a lot of people are Springwardens, it could really make a difference and turn the tide of war. You also have Gwynyon, which is an amazing marksman hero, especially in the early stages of the game, because I do think she's a very powerful marksman, and marksmen are amazing for most of the behemoth fights. There are some elite raids that are not as good with marksmen, but in this case, she is a very powerful starting hero. I do think Waldir's a little bit more versatile, but I think that Gwynyon is a great choice. Once you decide you want to kind of change factions and you don't necessarily need that gathering bonus, I really do think that the Springwardens bring a lot, and I think they would be a great faction for you to choose. The first unit type I want to talk about is the Work Elk. This is the special transport unit for the Springwardens. I don't think that it is the best. I do think that the League of Order has the best gathering unit in the game, but this one does have a pretty good transport unit. It has Light March. Light March increases the march speed by 10%, so you are getting to and from those notes a little bit faster, which can help you. It can actually help in a lot of ways if you're in war and you're trying to farm and maybe they're going around killing farmers or gatherers. You know, it can definitely help having that extra march speed, being able to run away, get back, not lose the resources, maybe not lose those workhorses or work elk in this case. But the 10% march speed really isn't a huge game when it comes to gathering. It's not going to make or break. The one thing to know is that it does need to be only work elk when in order to actually get that 10%. So make sure that if you are gathering, you're only using work elk, so that you can get that extra bonus, especially when you get into Zone 2 and Zone 3 when, you know, there are a lot more people killing your gatherers. Next we have the Ironbark Treants. This is your melee, this is your tank unit, and they are a really good option. I do really like the Ironbark Treants a lot. So we can take a look at their skills. The first thing they have is they have that rampage, right? So they have the normal, we're going to rush in, we're going to collide, and we're going to reduce their march speed by 75% for 8 seconds. Really awesome, really great, especially if you are catching a cavalry unit. It can basically allow you to really burn it, and if you have some DPS behind you, it's going to allow you to really push that front line. A great unit, I really do like them. The next one is Forged in Fire. This is engineering by 10%. It's normal. It is for building or destroying barricades and alliance buildings. Obviously, this is the unit you want to use. It's pretty much the same, and you know, not really going to make an impact, obviously, when you're doing battle and war, which is, you know, the primary goal of this game. Now, let me rephrase that though, because building is just as important and can be vital to winning as well. So it is a great skill to have, and we do want to get that engineering bonus. So make sure that you are using them when you are building to help with that 10%. The next skill is perseverance. So each time the Legion loses 3% of its units, they gain defense. So this can be really nice. I actually think that this pairs really, really well with Madeline. I think that a Madeline Garwood pairing in the tank tree for Madeline with this would be just amazing because you're going to gain that defense even when you're losing health, and you have the ability to just last longer and longer and longer and take more hits and take more hits, and you can really, really do some damage and survive so much longer, being able to increase that defense over time. And with her skills to do the same, it really pairs nicely. And with Garwood and the healing ability, it really does give you that survivability that a lot of the other pairings just can't give you. The last skill that they have, it's going to launch a counterattack when attacked by range units. This is a normal, this is the same as the swordsman. Again, I really, really like this with the Madeline Garwood, or even the Madeline Nika, right? Because the Madeline Nika is a counterattack build. You can go into the infantry tree, get the counterattack build, and kind of pair it with this unit, and you are going to do a ton of counterattack damage. And like I said, this is the same as the swordsman in the League of Order, but it's so powerful. And if you're, like I said, if you're using that Madeline Nika build, it can be extremely devastating. And even with that build, if you can build it a little bit tankier and be able to last a long time. Obviously not as long as probably with Garwood, but you could definitely last a long time and be able to do a lot of counterattack damage, soak it up, and really push through. So I really do think that is a great skill to have, and can really turn the tide of battle. If you can stay alive, do some counterattack damage, or maybe just stay alive and allow your troops behind you to push through, and you just kind of stay on that front line, intercept troops as you can, it's going to be a major benefit on the battlefield. So the next unit I'd like to talk about is the Elk Riders. They are an amazing troop, one of my favorites in the whole game. The reason is that they are actually a ranged cavalry. It is a great choice if you want to play a little bit different of a style with your cavalry. You don't necessarily need to charge in, be right in the thick of things. They are a close range unit, so you will be on the kind of the front line, but you can still stand behind the infantry units, give yourself a little bit of a distance, and it gives you the ability to run away a little bit better. So you get a little bit more freedom of motion. The one thing that they have that's different from the League of Order is this ability of the cavalry charge. So when they enter the battle, they gain physical keen. That's going to increase their physical attack by 30% for 10 seconds. That is huge, right? They're going to do a lot of damage right off in the beginning, and that can be triggered every 120 seconds. So if you are charging in, burning down maybe some archers or some mages, and then you need to run away, you have that time to be able to get away and reset that and charge right back in. They can be extremely powerful in the open field, especially if you're chasing down units, because like I said, you have that range. You don't have to get right on top of them. You're able to kind of chase and shoot and give yourself a little bit of that distance, and then if an infantry comes in to try to tank you, you have that ability to run away a little bit more, right? You had that distance. You're able to survive a little bit more. So I definitely really like the Elk Riders, and are one of my favorite cavalry units in the game. The next unit I'd like to talk about is the archers. Yes, the marksmen that come with the Springwardens. The marksmen are a great unit when it comes to damage. I think that they are amazing when you're fighting behemoths, when you're killing darklings. They can even be powerful in the open field, but you do have to be careful with them. So they do have this Undaunted skill. And the Undaunted, it reduces your march speed by 2%, but it does increase your physical attack by 5%. And it's no matter what. As long as it's only archers, then you're going to be able to use this buff as an advantage, right? You're going to put out a lot more damage. I love this one way more than the marksman for the League of Order. The problem is that march speed can be problematic when you're in the open field, right? When you're trying to move away and retreat, you're going to get caught. It's probably going to happen, especially against cavalry. You know, you're not going to be able to get away, and you're probably not going to be able to burn them down unless you have, you know, a tier 4 versus a tier 3 or a tier 5 versus a tier 4, some type of advantage that way, or way better research. So that march speed can be a little bit of a negative, where the ballistas, it's a little bit of, okay, you can do a lot of damage as long as you don't move, but as soon as you move, you kind of lose that buff. So it's a trade-off, right? So getting that 5% damage is definitely great. Anytime, always, but losing that march speed. So if I'm going to go with the archers, I want to probably spec my marksmen into a little bit more march speed on their talent tree to make sure that they can move a little bit faster, to kind of match that 2%. And if you're doing that, that can be a positive trade-off for you. You definitely still don't want to get rid of rage skills, but getting that march speed might boost you tremendously in the battlefield, and get those archers moving and gain that 5% and have a great advantage when it comes to damage. The next unit we're going to take a look at is the magic units. This one is a very interesting unit in my opinion. You have the Longleaf Treants, and they can be a great boost to the battlefield. They have the special ability to give defense to one surrounding unit. That can be really nice in the front line. If you have your magic units where your infantry are, your cavalry, and they're gaining defense, they're taking those extra shots, they can be great inside of other mage units, other magic units. They can be great with the archers. Putting them together can really boost the defense and allow you to make a big push. If you're kind of grouped up but not getting too much AoE and moving together, you can do a lot of damage but have a lot of defense. I do think that they are a little bit worse than the League of Order in the case of, I do think that HP is more valuable of a buff than defense. I think that survivability goes longer when you have more HP than when your defense is higher. I always prioritize my HP research over my defense research. But I do think that they are a very powerful unit that can definitely pack a punch and really help the battlefield. So I don't think that they are as good as the League of Order, but I do think that they are impressive giving that much defense. The last troop we're going to look at is the Special Flying Unit. Now, this is an interesting one for me. Currently, I do not like this flying unit as much. It's probably my second favorite. I like the League of Order Celestials more. Go check out that video if you haven't had a chance. I talked a little bit about why. But I do really like this unit. I think that it is going to be extremely powerful, just not yet. They are a cavalry flying unit, which is interesting because we don't have a cavalry flying hero yet. So for the mages and the magic units, we have the Atheist, right? Atheist Thea, really powerful, can fly anywhere, can do a lot of damage. If we look at flying marksman, right, we have Craig, who isn't really a strong epic hero. I would place him somewhere in the middle, but it does give you the ability to use him with a flying marksman with Thea and be able to, go anywhere, have that advantage. But for the Forest Eagles, there really isn't a great pairing for them yet. So I think when there is a flying cavalry hero, these could end up being the best cavalry in the whole game. And the reason is because cavalry are extremely fast, and you can fly around in and out and you can swoop down from top of mountains, you can go over terrain, and I really truly think that they could end up being the best cavalry in the game. So let's take a look at their skills. So the first one is that, hey, they're flying, so they can go over different terrain, but they have to have flying heroes, which is the problem. So this one really doesn't matter unless you're going a little bit off and using like an Atheist or a Craig with them, which just really doesn't make a ton of sense. The next skill they have is their counterattack. So anytime they are attacked by a ranged unit, they get to do the counter-strike attack. That's great. I love this one, right? Because it's going to give you the ability to continue to do damage and burn quicker. I think it's really, really nice to have a counterattack, and I'm actually hoping that the hero that comes out that will be that flying cavalry will have some sort of counterattack build, because I think that it will pair beautifully with this troop. And the last skill we're looking at is called Unyielding Rush. So that's when they rush into the Legion. When they collide, they gain rage. This was the same for League of Order. Nothing different when it came to the cavalry units, but it's extremely powerful. I mean, you're going to rush in, you're going to hit them, you're going to gain a bunch of rage, you're going to hit your artifact, you're going to hit your rage skill. You're going to do a ton of damage right off the bat. And then as they're trying to run away, you can fly anywhere, right? They can't run around any type of terrain, right? They could retreat into somebody's base, obviously, or to a node and try to run away that way, but they're so fast, and they can go anywhere. They're not worried about those kinds of things. They're not worried about the mountains. I think they're really going to be awesome when you want to, maybe you want to come around in a cavalry unit, group, and you want to swoop in from the back and try to pick up some of the range. It's going to be amazing. I just think that they are not there yet. I think they will be. I do think that they're going to be the strongest cavalry unit in the game just for their versatility. And maybe I'm wrong. If you think differently, please leave a comment in the bottom and I will definitely take a look and respond. Well, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video on the Springwardens. If you did, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that like, and I'll see you next time.